I'm a 29-year-old woman, and this story begins long before I had the words to describe what was happening. My sister Sophia is just 14 months younger than me, but it always felt like we lived in different worlds. She was magnetic from the start, loud, charismatic, and always the center of attention, whether she earned it or not. I was the quiet one, the reader, the one who teachers liked but classmates forgot. Our parents weren't the type to pick favorites out loud. They were more the avoid every conflict kind of parents. So when Sophia started making jokes at my expense, their go-to response was to brush it off. When she called me names or mimicked the way I walked, they'd chuckle awkwardly and suggest I grow a thicker skin. That became the running theme of my childhood. Middle school was when things got noticeably worse. Sophia started joking about my clothes, my acne, my weight, anything that got a laugh. There was one day I'll never forget. I had a period stain on the back of my jeans during lunch. Sophia saw it before I did. She didn't whisper it to me or offer a jacket. She pointed it out to the whole table with a dramatic gasp and a fake gag. I ran to the nurse's office in tears while she stayed behind to soak in the laughter. By high school, she had fully committed to the role of the sharp-tongued queen bee. I was the reliable target, the safe one to humiliate. If I answered a question right in class, she'd roll her eyes and mutter, "Show off." If I tried to wear something trendy, she'd ask, loud enough for others to hear, if I had dressed in the dark. At parties, which she hosted often, she'd make sure to tell anyone who asked that I wasn't coming because she's too busy studying the dictionary. She once saw a picture of me with a friend and commented in front of our cousins, "Wow, guess even she gets to have one friend. Lucky him." I remember the way everyone laughed, even though it wasn't that funny. That's how Sophia worked. She said whatever crossed her mind, and people laughed because they didn't want to be her next target. She had a boyfriend by 9th grade. I didn't even hold hands with anyone until college. Sophia went to prom with a senior. I stayed home and watched reruns. Our parents never saw any of this as an issue. They treated it like normal sibling teasing. Even when I made the honor society and Sophia announced, guess they needed to meet their nerd quota, my parents just sighed and said, "That's just Sophia." When I got into an out-of-state college, I didn't cry at the airport. I felt like I could finally breathe. I started figuring out who I was without the constant commentary. I met people who liked me for being thoughtful, who didn't think being quiet was a flaw. I joined a few clubs, found friends who never rolled their eyes when I talked, and for the first time I felt like maybe I wasn't as invisible as Sophia made me believe. In my final year, I met Ethan. He was in a sociology class I almost dropped but stayed in because the professor seemed interesting. Ethan was calm, sharp, and had a dry sense of humor. He didn't interrupt people. He didn't raise his voice to be heard. He actually listened. We started dating slowly. I told him early on that I had a complicated relationship with my sister. I don't know what he expected, but I don't think anything could have prepared him. After graduation, I brought Ethan home for a family weekend. Sophia had moved back in after finishing school and was the first to meet him. She looked him up and down and asked if he was the charity case. When we sat down for dinner, she made a joke about how amazing it was that someone this normal would be into our little Hermione. My dad laughed, then looked at me and said, "Don't be so serious." Ethan didn't laugh. He stayed polite but cold. After dessert, he pulled Sophia aside and told her something along the lines of, "If you have to insult your sister to be interesting, maybe you're not." I didn't hear it firsthand, but Sophia didn't say much after that, at least not to him. To me, nothing changed. She still made comments, just more subtle ones. Instead of loud insults, she'd whisper observations under her breath, then glance at me to see if I heard. She started excluding me from casual hangouts with our cousins. She'd host family game nights and tell